Hi, so this is my first video on this channel, and I thought of what I would like to do for my first video, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to talk about. Like, there's so many things I could talk about, but I wasn't sure what I actually wanted to talk about until I saw the Barbie movie. So obviously this is a movie that's been raved about and people are talking about it a lot, and so I thought we'd just have a little chat about it and I could share my thoughts while I do a bit of painting. So I hope you enjoy, and if you like it, please subscribe. So Barbie was so much more than I expected it to be. I thought it was just going to be like a fun film that you watch when you're down, or you know, that you can just chill and you don't have to think too hard about it. And I didn't really know what to expect as well. I didn't really know what it was going to be about. I didn't look at any trailers really. I didn't really look at anything in depth. I think I might have watched the trailer actually, but nothing in depth. I can't really remember what the trailer was about. So yeah, I went into it quite fresh, not really having any expectations, and it totally just blew my mind of what I thought it was going to be. So yeah, I'm gonna just put a preface here that I am gonna talk about the movie. I'm gonna talk about the plot. So if you haven't seen the film yet and you don't want spoilers, I would say that this video is not for you, because yeah, it's gonna be full of spoilers. So just be aware of that. I'll just put that at the beginning so you all know what to expect. So first thing I want to talk about is the connection between the dolls and the girls. So in Barbie, they talk about how girls have always had dolls, and it's like this kind of motherly connection that they have with the dolls, and I think that reflects the relationship that they portray with the mother and daughter in the film. And I think it's quite interesting how that is like a running theme through the film of mothers and daughters and that connection. Also, there's a lot of things about women and their place in society, their role, how they're portrayed, and all this different stuff. So Barbie Land is like this perfect utopia where women have the power, everything's perfect, they don't have negative feelings ever, they never have a bad day, every day is amazing. And yeah, there's no discontentment among the Barbies. They all feel really happy because they have everything they want. Why would they be discontented with that? So Barbie, that's all Barbie knows. And it's not until she has what ends up being known as the thoughts of death that everything changes, and she starts having real feelings and real emotions, and negative emotions predominantly, and things that in the real world we experience, like cellulite, having flat feet, things like that. She starts to experience she starts to have a human appearance and experience human emotions. So she's very confused with this experience, and she goes to Weird Barbie, which is the Barbie that everybody had, that was thrown around, cut their hair, made them look weird, and they talk about it in the film like the Barbie that was played with too hard, and therefore she's called Weird Barbie because she's not perfect and she's not amazing. So Weird Barbie helps Barbie discover how to fix what's wrong, which is interesting because the real feelings and the real things are seen as wrong, right? And that also kind of parallels how we as women experience those things in the real world, right? So like having fat is wrong, having feelings is seen as wrong a lot of the time. So I think it's quite interesting that we start off the film with Barbie feeling like she wants to get rid of those things, and we end the film with Barbie actually feeling like she wants those things. She wants to be human because she realizes that you can't have any of the great, amazing feelings without having those deep, dark feelings as well, and those less than perfect appearances. So it's like you can't have one without the other. So in terms of how women are presented in Barbie Land, the women, like I said, they have all the power. They are really clever. They are the prevailing class, I guess. Like, the Kens are seen as subservient to them. All that they are for is for looking at, and their main goal is to please Barbie, which is a direct reflection of how women are portrayed in the real world and what their role is in the real world. Often, not always, obviously. They're flipping it on its head, basically, which is a clever device to make us, the audience, realise how crazy that is, how backwards that is, how horrible that is. Because it's not until people see men being portrayed in that way that they question it, because we're so used to this happening in our modern society that we don't even question it. The way that women are portrayed in films, in music, in popular culture is generally the same. Obviously, there's been a lot of progression in the last century, and it's been progressing, but still these like tropes are still there and they're still very alive today. And I think it's interesting them flipping it on its head, the Kens being portrayed as stupid, and that they are almost like children, like they don't have any autonomy and they don't have that independence. They're just stuck to Barbie. Ken is constantly stuck to Barbie's hip. He can't be without her, he can't do anything on his own. So that is kind of a reflection of how women are seen in the real world, that they must have a man to take care of them. They can't do anything by themselves. It could be a parallel with that. So there's how the Barbies are portrayed in Barbie Land, but also we then, as Barbie travels to the real world, we see, or she sees, how women are portrayed in the real world and what their experience is. With Barbie Land, it's reflecting how women are portrayed. In the real world, it's the woman experience. It's what women actually experience on a day-to-day basis. So as soon as Barbie steps into the real world, in her clothes that she wore in Barbie Land, and that would be totally acceptable, suddenly she's judged. People laugh at her. Some people, or mostly men, stare at her and make inappropriate comments. She's even groped by a man. It's a harsh reality that Barbie has to face straight away, that we as women all know too well that experience. And as she experiences that, you can see that she says to Ken, I feel conscious of myself, as in I feel self-conscious. But Ken feels not like that at all. He feels noticed, he feels empowered, because he's not getting the same negative attention that Barbie's getting, which shows the dissonance between the two, how they are treated by people. That's what happens when she first comes into the world. And then she sees an old woman and she realizes how beautiful that woman is, and it's like she feels her experience. So Barbie experiences old people, which there aren't. I don't think there are any old people in Barbie Land. So because there isn't, because Barbies are, their life is not fragile. They live forever. They don't have death. They don't have old age. They just have the continuum of life. the fragility of life is essential to the human experience. So when Barbie sees the old woman, it's like she's seeing and experiencing that for the first time. So it's really interesting to see that through her eyes. Barbie continues to feel has different experiences, and she ends up meeting who she thinks is her owner, and a small girl called Sasha. She hates Barbie. She has really negative feelings towards Barbie, and she says that it's because Barbie, it represents all that is wrong with society, and she has destroyed feminism and has created unrealistic expectations for women because she's perfect. But Barbie thinks that the opposite of that women have been empowered through the Barbies. So there again is that kind of dissonance between the two worlds and the two thoughts, like an idea that is supposed to actually empower women and sometimes ends up disempowering them in different ways, which could come back to the fact that Barbie was made by a woman, but the company that we meet later actually manufactures the Barbies and is in charge of Barbie is mostly run by men, so could suggest that Barbie's made in the image of men. But so that's kind of another uncomfortable thing for Barbie to feel. Yeah, because she is known as stereotypical Barbie, which is like what women should look like, and it shows that the unrealistic ideals on women to look a certain way. There's lots of different things to think about when it comes to women and how women are portrayed in Barbie. And the Ken's experience is very different to that. So when Ken goes to the real world, he discovers that men are powerful and they run everything. Women are not subservient to men, because in the modern day that's not really how it works, but they're like a step down from men. They don't have the power. They are almost facilitating the men, but they're not. It's not their story. They're writing the man's story, which is interesting because in Mattel, which is the company that produces Barbie, the mum is the writer for Barbie, and the CEO calls her the words lady. So again, a very demeaning way of referring to the woman. But yeah, Ken discovers all this, and he discovers what patriarchy is. So he gets the view of what a man is in our modern day, and he likes it. He feels respected, he feels empowered, which I think goes back to the fact that in Barbie Land he isn't respected. He is treated like a woman is treated in the real world. He is just an accessory, which in the end they actually highlight that that's not healthy for either gender, that both the genders need to be equal, which I think is a really nice ending. It wasn't like women are better, men are better. It was like the middle ground. We're both great and we need to work together to be greater. So I really like that ending. But yeah, Barbie ends up repairing the bond between the mother and daughter that we meet. The mother has been feeling very disconnected from the daughter, and as the daughter's grown up, that bond between them has grown more fragile. And we discover that the mum was influencing Barbie, not the girl. So the mum's feelings are quite complex, and she started drawing drawings to let out her feelings and creating things like Cellulite Barbie and Thoughts of Death Barbie, which is why Barbie ends up experiencing these changes. So we can see that humans have complex emotions, and being a mother, being a woman in the world is not easy, it's not straightforward. This is then transferred onto Barbie. One thing that I thought was quite interesting to mention was when they go to Mattel, which is the company that produced Barbie, as I've mentioned before. They talk about how they're trying to make women empowered by Barbie, but all the people, pretty much apart from the mum writer in the company, are men. So I think that reflects how feminism can be treated as an idea instead of a reality. So people like to talk about feminism, people like to preach about feminism, companies like to use feminism for a goal. Maybe that's trying to make films more diverse and show that we're really on the side of feminists. But at the end of the day, it's an idea and not a reality. Like Barbie is an idea and not a reality. So I thought that was quite an interesting parallel that you could put between the two. Also, another thing that was interesting is that the mum says when she meets Barbie, she says, "I couldn't be like you, so I made you like me." She couldn't be like Barbie because Barbie's perfect. Barbie has a perfect body and has nothing wrong with her. So she made Barbie like her. That's when Barbie started having feelings and being human. So at the end of the film, obviously the Kens take over, do patriarchy. They bring patriarchy to Barbie Land, and the Barbies have to change things and they have to stop the Barbies being brainwashed, which kind of reflects how in our society women are brainwashed from an early age to not question the norms. I think that kind of reflects that, and until we watch something or we get reminded or shown that this isn't right, we wouldn't know. So it's showing that how it connects to the real world. Yeah, and at the end, Barbie discovers that she wants to be a real person. She wants to be a human, and she doesn't know who she is, which I think is really interesting to think about, because people don't know who they are and life isn't straightforward. And they ask, "What's Barbie's ending?" to the CEO, and he says, "Oh, it's simple. She's in love with Ken." And Barbie says, "No, that's not true." And they say, "No, that's not Barbie's ending." Which is, again, interesting, because in modern films, a lot of the time, the woman's goal is to find a man and to fall in love. And they don't have an arc of their own. They don't have a story of their own. But Barbie's rejecting that idea, and she's saying, "No, that's not the end of my story." And the end of her story ends up being to become human, but she doesn't know who she is, so she has to discover who she is. And I thought you could draw parallels between her, Mattel trying to put her back in the box, as in put her in a box, kind of categorize her, and that's all she is. She doesn't want to be put in a box. She wants to be free. She wants to be a human. So yeah, those were my thoughts of Barbie. I just thought it was so amazing, and I really liked how it wasn't, it was quite in your face. It was less subtle than some other films in terms of how they're presenting the feminism, but you did really have to look at it and think about it. I ended up watching it twice because I needed to watch it again to fully get the depth of it. But yeah, I think it's a great film, and I really liked just how fun it was, how it didn't take itself too seriously, but also showed really serious topics in a very digestible way. And I think for young people especially, it's a great resource for them to learn about feminism and things like that. So yeah, that is my little rant / talk about feminism and Barbie and how it's portrayed in Barbie. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. My picture is now finished, and I will see you in the next video. Adios.